Hey everyone, welcome to A Dungeon About, a podcast about RPGs, game design, storytelling, and other nerd stuff that we find interesting. Although, in spite of what I just said, in this episode, we don't talk about any RPGs at all. Instead, we have a discussion about the Talos Principle, and then after the break, we talk about Warhammer 40k Mechanicus. And I do want to warn you, it runs a bit long. Vincent and I hadn't seen each other in like a bunch of time because of the labor strike situation in Germany. And so we had a lot to talk about. But I think if you're interested at all in the Talos Principle, you're going to enjoy our discussion of it. Anyway, here we go. Enjoy.
I stumbled upon the Talos Principle.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a game on my list.
Well, you can't play it with me anymore.
Did you play it?
I played it, yeah.
Yeah, I believe that is a game that you want to be fresh when you play it, right? You're playing that for
What
the
do you
sake.
know about it?
Oh, I just heard other people talk about it a little bit, and just like, okay, here I have one scene from it in my mind. Okay, that I liked and it characterized the game for me. I imagine it as a kind of adventure game. Maybe kind of like Stanley Parable. Maybe that's a kind of comparison. I don't know if it's first person, but anyway, in the game, from what I hear, you at some point you are at a computer console, like so maybe you have to hack a terminal or whatever, and then the game brings up like dialogue options for what you type in, but the options it gives you are like ASWD 1 2 3 4 5 6 like the cat walks over the keyboard, but like what you would actually do at a terminal if you're just fucking around and you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that kind of humor sort of characterized it to me already as a kind of game that isn't very replayable and relies a lot on this sort of surprise humor and stuff. And I thought, oh god, that's probably great one day to play with Vincent, and then we never did because there's so much to play.
Yeah. Well,
Does that check out? Did I tick all the boxes?
Sort of. It's not so much adventure as puzzle game.
Right.
I would link it more to Portal. It is first person.
Is it challenging?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it's more comedy, right? Like Stanley.
Yeah, no, it's actually it's like around 8 hours long, and one of the issues I had with it at the beginning was that it was not challenging for quite a while.
It was
actually,
a baby game. Too easy for Vincent.
But somewhere around the midpoint, the challenges started getting harder, and there were also like optional puzzles that you can do, and they were quite hard, and it was actually a lot of fun.
Do the puzzles follow some kind of pattern, like in Portal, right? In Portal, there's famously sort of portal-based puzzles, and in The Witness, you have these weird line-connecting puzzles, right? And does Talos Principle have, if you will, a principle that it follows for its
Well,
puzzles?
the Talos Principle is actually mentioned in the game.
Talos isn't that like Greek for water? Is that true?
Maybe. I mean, the Talos Principle is entirely fictional, but it exists in the game.
What is it? What is the Talos Principle?
The Talos Principle describes a being, basically, that was called Talos, which was, I think, man-made machine that was that had consciousness, basically, or that was the question of the Talos Principle. Did this being have a consciousness, and what?
Very topical for what's happening right now in the world, Vincent.
Yes, yeah,
with AI and stuff.
and this is the entire topic of this game.
Yeah,
like
cool.
you just to tell you what actually happens in the game. So
Spoilers coming up.
Yes. But
for old game Talos Principle.
Yeah, and also like what I'm about to tell you was like the first hour of the game.
Right.
You wake up in first person as a robot.
Right.
And a voice from the sky speaks to you, and you are sort of in the ruins of an ancient Greek city.
Yeah.
And you get some puzzles. They are mostly, unlike Portal, where you get a portal gun eventually and you have these
Right.
portals. I would say they are more gate focused. So you have, instead of having an item that you always have with you,
Sure.
you have basically static items that you can move around.
Like the companion cube.
Yeah. So you do have a box. That is one of the items that you get.
Yeah.
That you can, just like the companion cube, you can use to activate buttons, stuff like
Sure.
that. You
Jump
also,
on it.
yeah, you also have one of the earliest items is a jammer that you can use to either jam gates open.
Right.
So they are just like force fields, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can use them to jam the purely mechanical enemies.
Mm-hmm.
That they have these floating orbs that follow clear patterns in a rhythm, and you can jam them at that very point. And yeah, you get a
This
couple of
is
more
much
items,
more
but
mechanical than I imagined. I apparently had a very wrong impression of this game. I feel like now.
is it mechanical?
Like now it's like more like Baba is you or something. The way you make it sound. Where you actually have to think.
Yes, you
Yeah.
definitely have to think.
That's okay.
Again,
I can think sometimes.
I know you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
If the spirit takes me, might do a little thinking.
Again, I would say that the first few hours, honestly,
Right.
were a breathe for me. I just ran through it basically, but at some point they do become pretty complicated.
I
these
fucking
puzzles.
hate puzzle games when they do that. I really do. Like, do you know what I mean? Do you know this? Like in Portal, right? There's this moment in Portal. I'm not sure. Like in the first game, right? Not sure when, but I also had this experience of, oh, I'm just playing this game and I'm acing all these puzzles, right? And it's like really fun. And okay, look, now we're doing like jumping stuff with the portals and stuff. And then at some point, you go through a door and there's just this fucking anxiety chamber where it's like lasers and balls going, like platforms going through acid and all this shit. And at that point, I feel like, oh God, now I have to do homework. Like this is going to be, do you know what I mean? That it really,
Yeah.
I feel so flustered when that happens. It's
I-
not really, I don't like it.
I found it interesting because I had the same experience in this game,
Yeah,
but
I can
just
imagine.
for specific puzzles, because they introduced a mechanic later on where you get to basically copy yourself,
Right.
where you make a recording of your actions
Oh,
and then you
God.
can replay that recording.
That's giving me anxiety already.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, it made for some great and very complex puzzles,
yeah.
but it's also a lot about the setup. So every time,
Yeah, you have to plan.
yeah, instead of just trying things out, you have to, every try takes like a minute and a half. And at that point, I wasn't quite into it, but
Yeah, I can imagine.
there were also there were very difficult puzzles that I had a lot of fun with. They had, also similar to Portal, they had laser beams that you can redirect and guide into receptacles, basically.
Right.
And those puzzles were super fun because you couldn't cross them like Ghostbusters.
Don't cross the streams.
Exactly.
I mean, okay, yeah.
Because they blocked each other.
Yes.
And some of them were extremely complicated and needed a lot of trial and error and some weird thinking. And they were really good. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed the puzzles, I would say. And
So I have a question, Vincent.
yes.
The presumably eponymous being that is conscious or not, is it conscious after all? Has it been conscious? You beat the game. You must know. Tell me.
That is debatable, I would say.
Oh, God damn it. They leave it open like
Yes.
a Bertolt Brecht theater play.
Well, so, okay. Now I'm getting into like super heavy spoilers.
Yeah, you're making me like this game less, by the way. Because
Okay.
it's like a Brecht play, I guess. No, it feels more like homework than Stanley Parable. But yeah, I mean, spoil me. Come on. Like, spoilers, everyone. You know this by now. This is what we do.
So the entire, as you run through the game and you find these consoles, these PCs,
Right.
they are your log files basically, and a lot of them just have massive amounts of text.
Does it use audio logs?
No, sadly no.
It's from when is this game? This is a little bit older, right?
Yeah,
Like
I don't
this
know
might
exactly.
even be from an era where it wasn't totally normal for every video game to be voiced all the time.
Yeah, also it's quite indie, I
Yeah,
would say.
yeah. But this might be like what 2012, 13.
I think so. I don't know exactly, but
Yeah, okay.
something along those lines. So there's some voice acting. For example, the creator voice in the sky,
Yeah.
called Elohim,
Okay.
is voiced. But there is one other actor, Milton. He is the voice in the computer that talks to you. They are not voiced, and most of the logs you find are also not voiced, which is a shame because there is a lot of text. There's so much text that I skipped a good bit of it. Also because often you find on these PCs, you find like 3 to 4 texts, and one of them deals with what happened in the fictional world of the game.
Right.
Something that is directly related to your current position in the world, basically. But there's also often 1 or 2 texts about Greek mythology.
It's an
Stuff like that.
educational game. But is the mythology text, does it help you with the puzzles or something? Do they weave it into the narrative?
Mostly not. In very rare occasions. But
You're
mostly
really selling this game, Vincent.
it's, I will say it's very much focused on the narrative topic of consciousness and beings.
But I mean, you could take like Greek philosophy shit, I'm sure, right? To like to say stuff about that, like some like I don't know pre-Socratic, like I don't know Anaximander or whatever they're called. Like you could quote those people.
And then?
Well, and then like weave it in. I don't know. I didn't design the game,
Yeah, I mean,
but I'm getting angry at the game because they didn't do that. Then why have the Greek theme at all? Do you know what I mean?
well, they have actually multiple themes. You start with the Greek theme,
Okay.
and their thoughts on consciousness, and their legend lore, and then you get like 3 different worlds, basically.
And they all have different perspectives on the consciousness issue. Okay, well, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt, and they probably have some kind of Greek philosophy thing going on there. I have to believe that.
I believe so, yeah. But again, I didn't read all of it,
Sure,
and also I'm not too familiar with Greek mythology, so
Sure.
bad combination. But the second world was ancient Egypt, which was much more focused on the afterlife and talked a lot about what a soul is worth and what defines a soul.
Yeah, that's cool. With like Anubis, like weighing your soul and stuff. If it's heavier than a feather, and if yes, then you don't go to heaven and stuff.
Yeah,
That kind of shit.
that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And then the last world was medieval Europe.
Sure. Yeah.
It was also
But I love that. That sounds great. Like it's, I have to assume that what they're doing there is they sort of have 3 different, let's say, worldviews and how they relate to this central problem of like consciousness. What is it, and has this being been conscious, right? And I have to assume that somehow, hopefully, like right, that would be the coolest thing if they managed to not only like barf a bunch of text on you in their terminals that you then don't read because it's obviously boring, and if you wanted to do that, then you would just browse Wikipedia. But then, I mean, they can have that in there, but then they sort of embody those worldviews in the puzzles. That would be awesome, right? Do they? It sounds like
Yeah.
they don't do that, though.
I mean, they do through aesthetic,
Right, sure.
Right, but
that's easy. I
that's
want it through the dynamics.
about as far as it goes, I think.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, honestly, maybe I just missed it, but yeah, I don't
Now I
think
kind of want to play it just to either get angry at the game or feel vindicated. I don't know.
Yeah, but those were the three worlds,
Yeah.
basically. And at the same time, while these stories and text posts of ancient times were available, you also read about what happened rather recently, though it's not clear how recently. And you learn bit by bit that the world, or rather humanity, it died.
It's a post-apocalyptic game.
Yes. And you find out pretty quickly that you are a robot.
Yes.
And you are living in a created world.
A simulation.
A simulation, yes.
Right. Oh, wow.
It's great. You after you finish your first puzzle, you teleport out of that ruin of Greek, and you just get into a big hall. And you think, yeah, okay, this is a bit weird, but I'm sure once we are outside, and then you finish 2 more puzzles, and you get outside, and it's just a round, slightly elevated platform on a basically snow desert. And there's nothing there. And you think immediately, yeah, this is a simulation. It works.
But it sounds like that. Yeah, that's probably not what you expect at that point in the game. Yeah.
No, I expect more, but well, it worked. So you learn about how humanity died, but they did have just enough time to do something big, basically.
What does that mean?
Well, what they decided to do, or some of them decided to do, is that they combined their efforts and collected all the resources and manuscripts and stories and lore and everything that humanity had achieved in vaults to secure it for future beings. Probably not humans.
Right.
But if ever...
Whatever comes next.
Exactly.
Alien. That's a real thing. Like, I think that exists. Isn't that like called Xanadu or something? Project Xanadu? I don't know. That might be a real thing. And they either have vaults like that somewhere, which, like, it's not that hard to just, I don't know, put the... like, I'm saying that I have no idea. But I imagine it's not that hard to just put the fucking internet on, like, tapes. Right? You can't do it with hard drives because they go bad, but tapes last forever. Or well, very long. Anyway, you have to find some storage medium that is very durable, and then you put them in a vault somewhere and you keep it safe. And then, it might be worth it just for whatever comes next.
Yeah.
And I think the whole idea with Project Xanadu or whatever it was called, somehow that name comes to mind. The idea was to shoot it into space and I think have it orbit Earth, which is kind of smart, I think, because in a way that's a very safe place, right? If nothing knocks it out of its orbit, it's just going to orbit forever. Or for very long.
True.
And it even if Earth is like, if we have like a nuclear holocaust or whatever, the orbit might be fine. It might not, actually, from what I've been hearing.
Yeah, but
Don Solarione, this plot sounds quite similar to one from the game called Soma.
I was going to bring that up. You beat me to it, Don Solarian. But yeah, he's right, Vincent. I was going to ask you, how does this compare to Soma and certain other games? Because in Soma, spoilers for Soma, you build sort of, like, I think, sort of the main character, not the one you play, but like this programmer lady in the game who you sort of chase, I think. She builds a simulation for humanity to escape into. You learn that in like the first 10 minutes, I think, of the game. You never played Soma, Vincent?
I did not.
And
I can't tell you why, because it says horror in there.
Yeah, it's a scary game. This is a problem. I may have brought this up before, but Vincent doesn't play horror games with me.
No.
I still need to find some kind of...
Fuck off.
I need a horror bitch to play Alan Wake with me and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I actually did watch a little bit of Let's Plays of Soma because I was so interested. Because that game also, not just the plot is similar, the themes, I think, also explore consciousness quite quite a bit, and this question of what does consciousness mean and so on.
Yeah, makes sense. I've seen like the one very famous scene from it.
Yeah, the start, right, where it switches you into the robot.
Don Solarione, it is scary because of the plot, not the jump scares.
It's true, but I'm not sure that Vincent makes a distinction there.
No, scary either way is
Yeah.
bad.
I mean, I'm
Just in games and movies, I guess, but not in. Anyway.
I know lots of people who just don't like horror shit, and it's fine. I get it. I just dig it. But I know that Vincent, he can't take it. I remember watching The Witch with him, which was great. And to Vincent's credit, he admitted afterwards, yes, that was a very good movie.
Yeah, that's the worst. I know these movies are good, and the game. I wish I could play Alan Wake, for example.
Yeah.
And I mean, Control alone was scary enough, and that's not really scary as a game. I wish
But the problem is it's uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
And I get it, because I also felt very uncomfortable at some point in The Witch. But there's something about me and people like me that we sort of crave for that kind of discomfort and punishment. And, well, the damage is deep and forever. That's all I can say to that.
Yeah,
And, well, at least people like us can enjoy games like Soma and Alan Wake and stuff.
Yeah.
But... you didn't quite answer the question, though. Maybe it's not answerable, but about Talos Principle, is the being, like, is it conscious or not?
So the thing is, this whole collection of human knowledge and science and all that, is not exactly how this simulation came into being, because that was the main project, and then a smaller group of scientists decided maybe we can figure out how to make the next generation of beings. And
like the robot that you play.
yeah, and they basically created this universe and gave it DM, so to speak, which is
that's the Sky voice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
it's brilliant. This thing practically writes itself.
Yeah, and Milton is. I don't know if it has a specific purpose in the simulation, but it used to be the archivar of the collected knowledge.
Vincent's looking something up.
Yeah, there's just a trailer of Soma is running on the Steam page. And I'm just going to switch over.
It's too scary to even look at. I get it.
It's just it's flashing a lot of lights.
It's okay.
It wasn't actually that scary. And so the question is this being that you inhabit conscious? And
you're a robot.
Yes, you are a robot, and you're not the first one either, because you frequently find messages, QR codes to be exact, of previous iterations and tries. Some of them have names like the shepherd and I think sheep is one of them. And
also very religious symbology.
Yeah, also like some of them have names of Greek heroes and lots of interesting ones.
Right.
And basically, you have multiple endings that you can reach.
All right.
And the first one is just do what Elohim tells you. And Elohim tells
like in
you,
Stanley parable.
Yes, exactly. He tells you, hey, here are all the puzzles. There are 3 words, 7 rooms per world, 3 to 4 puzzles per room. Do them all, and you get to ascend.
Right. But then you're not conscious. The secret, right? I'm trying to figure out what this game is. Although I'm interrupting you while you're actually telling me. But this way it's more fun, because I might be wrong. But like that's what they tell you. But of course, the real hidden puzzle is prove that you're conscious, right? And do it that way. And of course, just blindly following orders, like that's what a robot, like an unconscious machine, would do, right?
You get it.
So that ending is like the bad ending, or at least neutral. Like you don't, then you're not conscious, right?
Yeah, it's
What happens when you do that?
so at the end of it, the medieval world has a, how would you call that, like a center room
Sure.
that you can use to travel to the others. That is basically a giant cathedral with great music, by the way, like monks
Nice.
chanting, and
I am into monks. This is established.
yes, I knew I would get
Yes.
you. And once you have done all the puzzles that you were
Yes.
supposed to do, the big double door at the end opens. I think they are almost identical to some famous church doors in Jerusalem. Might be
Ah.
wrong on that, but certainly some famous door.
Yeah.
And behind that is only light that awaits you, and you step inside.
You go to heaven.
And you go to heaven, and as the player, what happens then is that the camera zooms out, and you go, see basically, actually, you actually go to heaven. I think there's like a small temple made of light and gold, and there's one last computer that you use, and basically the whole thing starts again.
Ah.
So
Very Stanley Parable.
click the button and it shuts you down
Yeah.
and takes the counter one up and starts again.
Right. Kind of implying that the simulation is looking for something else, the next version.
Yeah, you did it great, but not what we're looking for.
Yeah. All right.
Um,
So then I guess you play it and you like don't do the puzzles, find other paths through the archive.
well, you do all the puzzles because that's always true. But what I haven't told you yet is that between the three worlds, basically, in this snow desert, is a gigantic tower. And Elohim tells you at the very start, once you go out into this hub for the first time, don't descend the tower.
Ah. A forbiddance.
A forbidden tower.
Yeah.
And once you enter the tower, he can no longer track you.
Oh, yeah.
And we see it right now in the trailer. And of course, you ascend it, right? Because that's what
Of course.
curious people
I'm
do.
incredibly curious about this tower now. Yeah.
And it has 6 levels. And I think you can reach the first 2 rather easily, and then you have to finish each level has its own little puzzle, not super difficult, most of them. And at the end of every level, you get the code to the next one, but you also need some pieces, basically. So after every puzzle that you do, you get what do they call it? Like a symbol? Not sure.
All right. But how does it factor into the consciousness thing?
So you reach the 5th level,
Right.
and at that point, you have basically reached the top of the tower, despite the fact that there is a 6th level. And you go outside, and you start climbing stairs. And Elohim, as you walk up,
He
tells
can see you again because you're outside now.
yes,
Yeah.
and he tells you, hey, you can at any time still return. Right? This is nothing has happened yet. Just climb back down, and the higher you go, the darker the storm clouds below you get. And he
Very foreboding.
yes, and then you reach the next bigger platform, and there you see the shepherd.
Oh.
And also, what's her name? Samara? Something like that. Who, through her messages, is very much into the whole journey and infinite repetition and all that stuff.
Oh.
And the shepherd is not that. And with the shepherd, and despite Samara's attempts to stop you, you climb further. while Elohim tells you, hey, if you continue to go up, the storm is going to get worse and this world will end.
Wow, this is very epic. Yeah.
It's also very epic because suddenly you have like a time limit because that storm is indeed getting worse. And if you don't understand what the game wants from you,
Yeah. If you at that point you
You,
just stand around in the game, you just lose.
yeah.
It just kills you.
I mean, it doesn't lose, it just teleports you back basically to the beginning of that
Sure.
entire upper part of the tower.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, feels quite epic.
Interesting. Also much more religious than I expected. Feels kind of like an Abrahamic quest where you ascending.
Don
this mountain.
Solarione, okay, now it reminds me of Signal Eyes. Which is great by the way.
Signal Eyes. I don't know that one.
Signalis, I think.
Ah,
But
Signalis. I don't know.
Either
that
way,
one
I
at
don't
all.
know it either. But
Can we look at it?
Yeah.
Might go on the list. Just let's look at it on the Steam page because when we do that, I will remember it. Otherwise, I will forget.
Signalis from 2022.
Huh.
A classic survival horror experience.
Oh god damn it, Don't Learn. The problem is I love these games. I really like. I
that's
grew
what I've
up
been
like
saying. Horror
playing
games are
like
great.
Resident Evil 2 was like one of my favorite games growing up.
Mm-hmm.
It was awesome. Silent Hill, man, they're so good, Vincent. Honestly,
I know.
that's a weird thing, right? I feel like okay. I mean, obviously, horror has lots of like comical examples of like just splatter movies and stuff. But also, sometimes horror movies have and games have the best writing. It's weird.
Yeah, it's just extremes, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, what?
Yeah.
Well, let's have one day. We'll have a podcast episode just about horror games. I don't know.
Yeah, and I won't be there.
I don't know.
Too scary.
We need
Even talking
a
about
horror expert.
Yes.
Yeah. But let's tell me a little bit about Signalis.
A classic
Quick
survival
tangent, yes.
horror experience set in a dystopian future where humanity has uncovered a dark secret, unravel a cosmic mystery, escape terrifying creatures, and scavenge an off-world government facility as Elstar, a technician replica searching for her lost dreams.
Okay.
And this seems almost more action-focused than I expected, honestly.
And it sounds a little bit Lovecraftian.
A little bit. I can't tell if she's fighting like zombies or
Shoggoths or something.
no, definitely humanoid. But
Okay.
I'm not clear on whether it's zombies or robots
Right.
or androids or something like that. But yeah, lots of pictures of combat.
Yeah, okay. I mean, the description was vague, which makes sense. It doesn't it can't give away the secrets. But this, I don't know. I feel like we need a term for these types of games because the other comparison was going to make a System Shock. So a System Shock 2 in particular.
Don Solarione, this is type of a game in which, if you want to unlock every secret you have to stream game audio to real SSDV decoder to see in message.
Are you kidding me?
Also music is great.
What the
Nice.
Are you serious?
I mean, they had that in the Talos Principle.
Don
as well.
Solarione, it is true.
What the? You're telling me the Talos Principle has you streaming audio to and what did Don Sloan say? An SSD? It just sounded to me like some crazy technical stuff you have to do to find a secret message or something.
SSTV decoder.
Yeah, okay.
That's what he says.
And then,
That's-
this is like when you have like Premiere or whatever, and you have like static, and you want to see the porno, and you have to decode it. That kind of shit.
I guess so.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh-huh. In the Talos Principle, there are like every level has these stars, total of 30, and some of them are like they are completely optional.
Oh, it's like Braid, man. This game is like it took from like everything because there's
Yeah.
also a little bit of Bioshock in there, which of course also that's like the whole gaming series, like this huge incestuous community of games inseminating
You know,
each
I haven't
other.
even told you the best part. They have so many Easter eggs in there.
Oh, sure.
So many. And wild ones too. From other games, some of their games.
Right.
There's also like you can at some point a laser at the moon, and then it turns around and it's the Aperture Science logo.
Now it's just silly. See, this is more what I was expecting, like
There's
that,
also-
that kind of tone.
Yeah, there's also through some wildly difficult jumping, you can get on top of a teleporting room, and there's another teleporter there, And if you use that, you enter into a completely dark cave. And if you follow that, you find a large hall that has a prism that has a beam of light entering from one side
Right.
that splits into multiple. And if that reminds you of a certain album cover, then you are correct.
Yes, Pink Floyd.
Because if you run up to it, the Pink Floyd song starts playing.
Oh, they didn't get copyright claim for that?
I don't know.
I guess it's a well-hidden Easter egg.
We shouldn't talk about this. Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just similar to one.
Dark
But
Side
it
of the
felt
Moon.
very Pink Floyd. And it felt like hundreds of Easter eggs, and there are so many.
Crazy. But at some point, it ceases to be an Easter egg, right? And it's just sort of, that's the game.
Yeah, but they are well hidden. Because, for example, for the stars, even getting to the stars is quite difficult.
Yeah, but at some point, right, if it happens so often, then that's sort of your main thing you do in the game is chase down these like hidden things. I'm not trying to slam it for that. I'm just saying it's like how, in like there are no Easter eggs in Stanley Parable, right? Because everything is like an Easter egg. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's certainly a bit like that.
But of course, okay, here's what I'm willing to give you on the Easter egg front. This is an important debate we're having. That like Stanley Parable isn't that strong in referential humor, right? It doesn't like do that Pink Floyd stuff, like referencing pop culture and other games so much.
Not really.
Yeah.
Thinking.
Maybe just with the bucket stuff and the companion cube. That's
and there
obvious.
was this whole Steam review thing.
That's true, but that's sort of see. Stanley Parable is strong on self-referential humor, but not necessarily on like having references to other games and stuff.
Yeah,
which Talos like just from this discussion where we were like mentioning half of games seems to be pretty strong on.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you are correct. I think for me the last third of the game was carried by just trying to get out of bounds of the puzzle areas,
which is awesome.
To eventually find stars and Easter eggs.
Yeah,
and that was really fun.
Yeah, I loved that in Braid as well, a game where you can rewind time. Yeah, because that has a secret ending as well.
As soon as you involve time, things just get weird.
It tends to break people's minds. It's really the human mind is not very well equipped to deal with like sort of time stuff.
Yeah, we just usually don't have to.
No,
usually time just keeps going.
It's like our brain evolved in just one direction, which is forward into the future.
Yeah,
and that's it. We didn't need.
It
more.
works.
Yeah,
well, why change?
You couldn't rewind back in the forest to get another pineapple or whatever. But anyway, what happens at the top of the tower, Vincent?
So once you actually reach the very top of the tower, you. Let me think. How did they actually show it? I think there's another. Yeah. You again get basically teleported to heaven. And there's another PC, and you can talk to Milton one last time, which is also called the Serpent, and is constantly.
Boy. This is very symbol heavy now.
And I personally hated Milton, but he constantly asks you about basically philosophical questions.
Yeah.
And then when you talk to him again at a later point, he questions that and then questions that again and just tries to make you wonder about these philosophy questions. And I
kind of want to play it now more and also not. I don't know. I'm very in two minds about it.
Yeah. I will say this. Answering these questions with multiple choice options kind of difficult, in my opinion.
Like as in difficult to get right, or as in like this is a questionable design choice?
Frustrating for me because I often didn't find the answer I wanted to give in the answers that were presented to me.
Right. But can you give an example? Like, is it like quiz questions? Like, oh, what did Socrates say or when he was the first time in the amphitheater or whatever?
No.
It's more about the core question, like, what is your take on consciousness? What did you learn, little robot?
Yeah, basically
Okay.
like that. And then, what is your take on consciousness? And are you conscious? And then you can
What
answer
can change
yes
the
or no.
nature of a man?
Yeah,
That kind of stuff. Okay.
but yeah, like that, answering the question, hey, are you conscious with yes or no? And these are the two options you have.
Ah.
Which is, it felt simplified to me. And yeah, I don't know. It was fine, but also Milton was kind of pissy about it, which
Yeah.
annoyed me more.
So did you beat it at that point? Like, did you? I mean,
Yeah,
surely you found the correct
so-
sequence of answers.
At that point, you can decide to take Milton and his entire knowledge as the archiver of human wisdom and knowledge with you, or you can leave him behind, which I did happily.
Yeah, you're not very high on Milton, I can tell.
And then the whole thing shuts down, basically. And your consciousness gets transferred to another robotic body in the real world. And
Okay.
at that point, the game ends with you standing at the exit of, I think, a dam or some gigantic building, and looking out onto a city that has been grown over.
Right. Your world to inhabit because you have
Yes.
proven that you're conscious.
You've
Well,
made it.
that's like the good ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
And then there's floor 6. You want to hear what's on floor 6?
Of course.
Yeah, me too. So if you indeed do all the very, very hard puzzles, including collecting all 30 stars and
Right.
doing all the extra
Yeah,
puzzles,
this is the braid kind of ending. Yeah.
you get into the elevator and press the button for 6, and instead of going up, you go down.
Oh, to hell.
Not that far down, but down. And suddenly, despite being in the tower, even under the tower, Elohim talks to you again. And he tells you, you have proven your worth, and you will from now on become one of his messengers. And at that point in time, you have already met some messengers, because there are 3 of them, and you can at any point, past a certain point in the game, ask them for help in any puzzle.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
What does that mean, asking them for help? What happens when you do that?
Every puzzle has this little shrine, basically, where you can write a request for help.
Okay.
And if you do actually, like, you have to collect the messenger first, which is not that hard. It just takes a while in the game to get to that point. But if you ask them for help, they give you guidance, a tip, basically, how to solve that specific puzzle.
Haven't you at that point in the game already solved all the puzzles?
Yeah, but you meet them earlier. So you can, I think once you reach World C or something.
Wait, I don't understand. I mean, presumably you've played through the game once. Normally, that means you've solved all the puzzles once. You've done them all.
Yeah.
And then on another playthrough, you only then you go to tower level 6, where you then get this boon of being able to consult with the messengers.
Well, yes, you don't have to play the entire game again, but yes.
Yeah, sure, but I mean, like, that's on your second playthrough or whatever.
But so in Tower Level 6, you don't get access to the messengers. Rather, you become one of them. They help
you mean
earlier.
before? That's how you normally. Yeah, that's how you know about the messengers.
This
you get
is
to,
like the help system integrated in the game.
Yeah, I see.
And,
I understand now.
Yeah, there are 3 of them,
now-
and they have all like.
That's cool. Does one of them have a double jump? Like the sheep?
that
it
was
have a double
honestly.
jump?
I was.
So you can get to more Easter eggs, because that's the whole point of Floor
The
6,
game
right?
was so missing a double jump. I can't
Most
tell.
games are.
Yes.
Double jumps are great. Yeah. You know how bummed I was in Ocarina of Time where you couldn't jump at all? That was such bullshit.
Oh God, I can only imagine. What the game
Yeah.
did have, though, and I found that fascinating, was a button to fast forward. Which
But
is
how can you fast forward if it hasn't happened yet?
well, you just fast forward like you would a video. Like just
And then
the
what
world
happens?
happens faster around you. And
It's just okay.
the idea is that you use it if you need an enemy to be at a specific point
Right.
to interact with them, but you can also use it while you run,
Sure.
which is wild.
It's cool though.
Yeah, it's very fun. Also, like to skip long elevator rides and all that.
Yeah. At that point,
Super
it
cool.
just gives you lots of like quality of life stuff, which is a good idea. Yeah, I like it.
I've never seen that before or since, and I really liked it.
All right. But I guess that's what you do then when you want to hunt down all the Easter eggs and stuff.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, you fast forward a lot.
Do you think this third option has some kind of take on the grand theme of consciousness and stuff? Like,
well-
what is that?
So the messengers are entombed, which means these robot bodies, they don't die or anything. They are put into a sarcophagus.
Yeah.
And to activate the messenger's help, you have to first go to their island. They have these beautiful islands, and get them out of their tomb, and then they are willing to help you. And they're not trapped in there. That's just the process that you have to go through. Basically, they seem very much fine with the whole thing, and watching yourself get into this tomb, knowing that you are conscious while in there for however many years, is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just can you imagine that? Sitting in this tomb, unable to get out for decades, possibly?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. You're like a weird robot person. Like you're not. I don't have the same standards, I guess.
Maybe. I
And like,
guess.
don't you get to inhabit them or whatever? I mean, you're not. I don't understand. Like, you're not being trapped there, right? You can still do stuff.
I don't know, Marius. The game ends there.
Oh, yeah, but I don't know. But Elohim implied that you can like inhabit the messengers, and they do stuff.
No, you become one of them.
Yes, but they've been doing stuff, right? They've been helping people, sort of.
Yeah, if anybody gets as far as you and
Right.
frees you, then you
Yeah.
can help them.
I guess it doesn't have the horrific impact it had on you, Vincent. But I'm sure if I had played it and if had seen it, it would have also been jarring, at least.
See, that's why I don't play horror games.
Yeah. It's okay.
Even this rather simplistic
This cute
puzzle
little
game.
robot climbing in a
No,
box
no, no,
scares
no,
you, Vincent. It was a dark box. I don't know. I guess, yeah. So at one point, you're like an unconscious machine. At another point, you're like a conscious human. And then the third version is like, I don't know, you're the Holy Spirit, I guess. You're helping other beings
Kind of, yeah.
understand the message.
One of the messengers is called Uriel. So,
There
you
you
know.
go. Yeah, I mean the other one. I was thinking like, okay, is it like right? I'm trying to decode this fucking game without having played it. But is the shepherd like does that stand in for Christianity? Samara sounds like samsara from Hinduism and Buddhism and stuff. And then you have the snake.
It was Samsara.
It was actually called that. Well, not being super subtle here,
No,
Talos
no.
Principle.
No.
And then you have
Also,
Yeah.
again, spoilers for the very end of the game.
oh, we're well past
Yeah,
spoilers, Vincent.
Guess who the shepherd is?
Jesus Christ.
No, it's the sheep. The sheep that
Oh.
constantly is questioning and feeling weird about the whole thing and wondering what's in the tower and all that. And then they climb up and become the shepherd and lead future generations.
What a twist. Literally a twist. Yeah. Anyway, and then you have the snake, right, which is also all over
yes.
religion. Yes, which is in Genesis, right? The snake gets Eve to eat from the apple of wisdom.
Yeah, and just
tree of
like
wisdom.
the snake in that story, Milton also wants the player character to question Elohim and ascend the tower.
Yeah,
and
to,
question
like,
himself
yeah.
and
Maybe they-
regain consciousness or gain consciousness.
Yes, to sort of evolve. And then you kind of become one of those things, I guess. It's one of your choices,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
basically.
I see what they sort of did there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with your explanation, it seems kind of cool, but now I don't need to play it anymore. It's
Yeah.
okay.
No, I honestly, looking back at it, I don't think that would have been an enjoyable experience to play.
For us, you
Yeah.
mean? Yeah, okay.
That's just like the mix.
And all the reading Vincent giving you flashbacks to like sort of remember disco before the patch?
Oh,
Wasn't
God,
that a
yes.
lot of fun?
Yeah, and just
Yeah.
imagine like, oh yeah, there's a PC, so that's about 4 A4 pages worth of Greek mythology.
Yeah, hey everyone, welcome to the stream. Let's read Socrates' Apology. Strap in.
Page 213.
By Zeus, you are right, Socrates.
Chaotic Uriel. He makes me read.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we are doing.
Yes,
That's
we're looking for new formats, new and exciting formats for the show.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
Anyway, I guess, do you have anything more to say? Or I guess that's the Talos Principle. I'm
Overall-
glad we had this conversation because that game was on my mind. And now, honestly, I feel like I've completed it.
Yeah.
I'm done with it.
I'm honestly, I got sort of sucked into it more than I expected.
But you said it was only 8 hours, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. Can we look it up to put a nice bow on it? Who made it? And maybe what other stuff did they make?
Did I have it open here? Yes. It's by Croteam, and the
Yeah.
publisher is Devolver Digital.
Sure. Oh, really? It's Devolver?
Mm-hmm. And what else?
Okay, no, that's Devolver. Like, what else did they make?
So Croteam
Yeah.
has done Talos Principle and Talos Principle 2, which came out.
Oh, there's a 2.
Yeah, it came out on November the 2nd
All right.
last year. They
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's so recent. Okay.
It's also very good from what I've heard.
I'm sure.
They also made Serious Sam 2
Oh.
and 4.
No, they made that? Wait, wasn't that actually a Ukrainian studio that made the first Serious Sam?
Don't know.
Played the shit out of that game.
I mean, Croteam, a Croatian independent
Okay,
studio.
not Ukraine. Sorry.
Rhymes with Broteam.
Thanks. And yeah, then it was them. But why did it not say Serious Sam 1?
I mean, I'm just clicking through, and there's also Serious Sam HD, the first
you go.
encounter. Serious Sam.
That's so cool. I would have never
Siberian
guessed
Mayhem.
that they make some kind of heady, thick, meaningful game about consciousness and
It
shit.
is a bit wild, yeah.
The Serious Sam people, where it was all like, oh, the cool thing about this game is you could walk on walls and stuff, and you have a big gun. They actually had that in the game, like a big gun, but. I'm sounding stupid now, but it's like it's hard to explain. You know how gun actually means originally it meant these big metal cannons, right?
Cannons?
Like medieval cannons,
Oh, yeah,
once you put on
uh-huh.
ship
Yeah.
that shoot big metal balls, right? With big, they just put that on Serious Sam's hand. He just has that,
Yeah,
and
it's
you
like
could
the
shoot stuff.
BFG from
Kind of, yeah.
Unreal Tournament.
But it shoots actual balls that roll through stuff. And by the way, oh man, it all comes together now because every Serious Sam game had, for reasons which were not clear to me back then, but I just accepted, it had a very strong sort of Egyptian theme. Right, you were always going through like Egyptian ruins and temples and all that stuff.
You know what I just realized? There's also, like, in one of the levels in Talos Principle,
Yeah.
You build a statue. And I looked at that statue, and finding the different parts was surprisingly difficult. And I finished that statue, and I had no idea what I was looking at. And then that statue
Where Serious Sam?
launched like a rocket into the sky and flew and grew smaller and smaller and then exploded.
Right.
And all the while screaming. Not moving or anything, just made out of marble, but screaming.
Cool.
And I was wondering what the hell that was. And now I realize, that was one of the enemies from Serious Sam.
Yeah, they also screamed in weird ways, like the guys without heads and stuff.
Yeah.
That's so weird games, man. But kind of, I don't know. I'm so glad they did that, and thanks. I didn't know that. I'm glad we looked this up.
Yeah, we do. Good call.
What was it called?
Croteam.
Croteam.
Rhymes with protein.
Crow because of Croatian. I feel so stupid sometimes. Okay.
All right. Best known for Serious Sam series and a philosophical puzzle adventure game,
Yeah.
The Talos Principle.
That's so cool. Like
That
Serious
is-
Sam was like, to me, kind of the spiritual successor to Duke Nukem and stuff.
Mhm.
Like the
Yeah.
dumbest shit you could imagine. And then
Absolutely.
now they make like, like consciousness. What is it?
Yeah.
I love that.
Uh-huh.
Cool. I showed you all those pictures, right, that I generated, and it was hilarious. Vincent told me, yeah, some of them are a bit weird. Like, some of them, Butterscotch has worm hands, and this one where she's conjuring up like a red panties slip kind of thing. It's a bit weird. So that stuff definitely still needs work, but it's just, very interesting technology from an accessibility standpoint.
Also, like, there were a surprising number of pictures you sent me where she just looked like some sort of gnome,
Oh,
but
interesting.
more like a garden gnome and less like a person.
I told it to make halflings. I don't know what went wrong. Did you get, okay, this is sort of behind the scenes stuff. Did you get you did comment on the, like there were like 5 folders in there and some of them were butterscotch, but once was a talking potato. You didn't mention those at all.
Yeah, because they were pretty wild.
Yeah, I can imagine. I guess those didn't work out.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
mostly
It was too much for Stable Diffusion to generate. It's all I asked for is a talking potato with a large mustache in an oil painting style. That is not too much to ask.
well, apparently, yes, it is.
And we're back.
Hello.
So, you got more?
Well, after I finished the Talos Principle,
Yes, you played more deep
we
puzzle
haven't seen
games
each other
about.
in 3 weeks.
Yeah, there was lots of
I
strikes.
got things to do.
Of course. While you were pondering your rage at the Deutsche Bahn,
Yeah.
you had to
Waiting for buses.
Yes,
Yes.
you played Euro Truck Simulator,
No, but that
Transport
that might have
Tycoon
been-
2024.
Yeah. I can do it better than you guys.
Remember when train games were like a big thing?
I mean, yeah, I still enjoy planning traffic and stuff like that
I
in
know.
City Skyline.
Oh yeah, I guess SimCity and stuff is like a train sort of game.
Yeah.
And like other city builders and stuff.
Yeah, and I don't know how it's in SimCity, but in City Skyline you can even get mods that you can influence like everything about the traffic. That you can
Okay.
tell drivers, okay, you can not turn to the left here, you can only turn to the right.
Oh wow.
Stuff like that.
Very, very fine-grained control.
yeah.
Is that game just a quick tangent? Yeah, like we ever do quick tangents. But like,
Yeah.
is that game playable by now? Because I remember when it came out, that's 2, right? Cities Skylines 2 is the most recent one.
Yes.
It had lots of like graphical and performance problems, right?
I believe it still has a lot of issues.
Really?
I haven't played it.
That makes me feel so bad because in my mind that's like this like I don't really play those games and I probably will not, but in my heart I just on principle I'm a big fan of like city builders and the SimCity sort of franchise, I guess.
Yeah.
And in my mind City Skylines was the spiritual successor because the last SimCity was kind of a letdown. Whoever made that, I'm not sure. But City Skylines seems to be well liked. It's so tragic that they had this performance issue.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Recent reviews mostly negative.
Oh shit! Yeah, okay.
All reviews mixed. Oh boy.
That does not bode well.
No.
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 Oh man.
Yeah. From what I heard, they basically released at least a year too early, and they released in
Oh, boy.
October 23. Yeah. I
okay.
really do
Moving on.
hope-
So,
Yeah.
what did you play? Vincent?
I played another Warhammer game, but it's Warhammer 40k Mechanicus.
Oh, I have not heard of this. When did this come out?
I think in 2018.
Okay.
Let me check.
I guess there are a lot of actual Warhammer games that, like, the Games Workshop gave out the license, but not all of them are good or notable.
In 2018. Yes, but this one is actually pretty solid, I will say.
All right.
It's sort of based on the XCOM idea of turn-based combat with grid.
I remember, I've mentioned this often, Warhammer 40k Chaos Gate. Also, same principle. Right?
When is that?
That's super old, man. Like, I don't know, end of the 90s or something. I don't know. But, like, XCOM is old, right? And Chaos Gate was also, like, you have a squad of Marines. You have to load them out with bolters and shit. And you send them to, like, a jungle base where you have to assault Chaos Marines and stuff in turn-based isometric combat.
Sorry, I'm just... it says here that Chaos Gate was released 22?
No, that's a different
it's a
Chaos
reboot
Gate.
of the 1989 game Warhammer 40k Chaos Gate. Okay,
Are you
that makes
serious? It's 1989? Holy shit, yeah. Wow, I wasn't lying.
Yeah,
That's
they made
like,
a reboot 24 years later.
I'm 1 year older than Chaos Gate. Dating myself here, but who gives a fuck? But that's...
Oh no, sorry. German and English letter number structure. It's 1998.
Okay, that was more
So,
what I was expecting.
yes.
Still old as fuck. But we were talking about Mechanicus, so tell me about Mechanicus.
Yes. So the entire premise is the Adeptus Mechanicus, the tech priests
Yes.
of the
Of
Terran
the Empire.
Empire,
Yeah.
are traveling around the world, and they're around the galaxy, I guess.
You make them sound so chipper. Like they're on a business trip or something. Yeah.
They do seem like they have fun.
This is the
some of them.
31st millennium, and there's only war, Vincent. There are no trips around the world.
Not for the tech priests. They are having fun, and they are
Yeah.
guided by their curiosity.
Okay, now you're making me, with the context, you're now making me imagine them as the Deutsche Bahn of the Warhammer universe. The Adeptus Mechanicus, perpetually on strike and doing like fun little trips while they're getting better working conditions from the Emperor.
Hey, we haven't been to Bonn recently.
We must appease the mechanical spirits by frying sausages.
More Senf.
Somehow it works even better when they're all German. Ja, mein Hans. Stupid.
Oh God. Yeah.
I apologize.
So what do? They find a planet. They follow the call of another tech priest.
Sure.
And find a planet, and a surprising amount of tombs. And of course, because they're curious, and that's what they do, they enter the tombs and sort of accidentally set off the revival of a Necron army.
Excellent. Oh man, Warhammer is so cool. I'm into it already. It's also like Talos Principle. It's all like Greek shit, and it's like difficult and heady and stuff. And now you're talking me about like tombs and Necrons being reactivated and stuff. And I'm like, I know this. This is familiar. It's like a nice blanket I can wrap myself into.
It's so good.
Also, we'll be here podcasting for 2 hours again. I'm sorry, but I would just want to contextualize this a little bit and like check if I get this thing right about Warhammer lore, basically, because and maybe it resonates with what you've done in the game. So the way I understand the Warhammer 40k universe is that. Yes, there's only war and stuff, but like humanity has advanced technology, right? Like the super buff, genetically manipulated space marines and stuff, and like spaceships and all of that. But they've sort of forgotten how to come up with that or use it. It's like there was an era of great technological advancement, but that has been surpassed, and now the Emperor and like certain tech priests and stuff may still understand a little bit of that, or maybe even the Emperor understands all of it, but most of it is sort of lost to another age. And a lot of what the Adeptus Mechanicus and the Empire as a whole, what they do and what they're after is sort of blueprints of like other sort of templates for like war machines and other technological inventions. that they can no longer construct on their own, but they still have sort of factories to which they can feed these blueprints, and then they can like recreate, I don't know, these like colossus and all these like fun things they can't make on their own anymore, right?
Yeah.
You agree with this
I
assessment?
believe that is correct. Yes.
And is that like a thing that they're after in the story, in what happens in Mechanicus?
Sort of? It's not the main focus,
Right.
but similar to the XCOM games, there's this sort of overworld.
Yes, the strategic layer. That's essential. Yes.
In Mechanicus, that's sort of simplified, but you have, I think, 5 advisors, all tech priests, and one of them, their main focus is curiosity and technological advancement.
Right.
And all missions from them are specifically, hey, I heard there's this cool thing over there. Let us go and get it.
Yes.
And that's their mission. And everybody around tells them that is a terrible idea. We shouldn't go in that tomb. Last time we went into a tomb, we ended the world, basically. Can we please do not? They say, no, we have to get it.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
I get it. These are simple people with simple desires,
Yeah.
Vincent. Why judge them for that?
No, it's wonderful. Also, on these missions, like, just to talk you to the mission structures.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get to command Space Marines, right?
No, you
just-
get to command tech priests,
Yeah,
which
like-
are your sort of hero units.
Nerdy dudes with like appendages and servitors is what I'm imagining a squad to look like.
Correct. So you have, I think, 6 spots in your squad.
Yes, and I apologize. Those are called mechadendrites, if I believe I'm correct.
Very good. Magnus.
Yes,
Very good.
I know my Warhammer.
And yes, you have the hero units, the tech priests that you
Right.
can upgrade, and they may be melee focused or support focused or whatever, and you can equip them. And then you have the cannon fodder, basically, the troops
Sure.
that may cost you a little bit, but if they get hurt, nobody cares.
Yeah.
And it's great. And the missions work the same way every time, basically. You get a sort of simplified map of a tomb. So you have a starting point, and then you get to make decisions how you reach the end tomb or the end room. And most rooms that you go into along the way have some event happening. Like,
Sure.
sometimes it's directly related to the mission. For example, I played a mission recently where the troops on the planet were having trouble with with some sort of gas that was released that hurt them and made them lose morale and all that. And our mission as sort of spies / special agents, whatever, as tech priests, was to position like braziers. What is that?
Torches. You have to light all 7 torches in the room like a Zelda puzzle.
Sort of. No, we had to bring in these fires that produced some sort of smoke.
Yeah, sorry, I don't mean torches. I mean glow globes.
Sure.
Because it's Warhammer.
Yes, to basically stop that. And
Sure.
to do that, we had a robot with us. And the first room we got into, the event popped up. Hey, the robot has basically ran into a tomb and is now stuck. What do? And then you can,
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
yeah, you can choose one of 3 options most of
Yeah.
the time. And they give you different bonuses or maluses. They might give the Necrons that you are always fighting a bonus on initiative, for example, or you may have to fight more Necrons, or you may have to fight less Necrons. They have a timer running, basically, how long you are in that specific mission, and the longer you take, the worse it gets. And also these events are quite fun because they often talk to you, the player. So
That sounds weirdly arcadey. for a Warhammer game. I mean,
Yeah. So not
combo
always,
breaker.
not always, but also sometimes, like with the robot, for example, right?
Yeah.
I think the event was that he was like he had some alarm going,
Yeah.
and the question was, okay, how do you stop it from giving that alarm, because the alarm is obviously alerting the Necrons, right? And I choose the like prey on it option, which is always an option because that's
Sure.
what you do,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
You pray the
Appease the machine
corruption away.
spirits. Yeah, yeah.
And
Light
the game
some
basically told me,
incense.
yeah, you did very well with the praying. Also, you stumbled and knocked the cartridge out.
This sounds weirdly sort of whimsical and like slapstick
Sort of,
oriented
yes.
for a Warhammer
But
game.
it's-
I don't know if I would like this
It
game. Vincent.
rides the balance perfectly. Like
We
it-
don't see a lot of Warhammer comedy games.
No, it does it so well because it has a bit of comedy, but it's mostly very, like, the atmosphere is great and very Warhammer-like and very dark and brooding and all that stuff. But every now and then,
I don't know if I like my space fascism with clowns, Vincent.
you would love it. I can promise you that it does it so well.
Well, all right.
Yeah, it is really fun. And then at the end of the mission, you go through a couple of rooms, have these multiple choice options, and they influence the mission version, the status. And at the end of it, there's always a fight, and you get placed on a grid. You can have this small square that you can position yourself in. And then you fight a Necron army, basically.
Yeah, that sounds tough. Also, what a matchup. Like Adeptus Mechanicus versus the Necrons. Which is, am I mistaken? That's like one of the more tougher armies, right? At least in the Dawn of War games. We used to play like LAN games of like huge 8 versus 8 Dawn of War strategy game battles. And Necrons were basically banned because everyone thought they were just broken and bullshit. Because you just couldn't kill them.
Yeah, also true for the game, because every time you knock them down,
Yeah. You knock them down, they get right back up again. Right?
no, they just
Did
they
that
get
music
right
play
back,
while
teleported away from you.
Oh, right.
So
yeah,
instead
they do
of
that as
dying, they
well.
teleport away.
Yeah, they have all kinds of bullshit. Like in
Yeah.
Dawn of War, they could like stop time, and I don't know. I get it. It wasn't fun to play against them, but you make it sound fun with the Adeptus Mechanicus.
It's pretty good. It's I will say, I don't know what the budget was. The gameplay loop seems a bit simple, and the combats. I mean, they it seems like they try to do a lot with what they had,
Right.
and mostly it's there's a lot of variety in the sort of arena and the enemy types and all that stuff. But I believe it's like a 40-hour game,
Huh.
and I
All right.
do wonder how long that keeps fresh, because
Sure.
there's like
How long did you play it for?
maybe 5 hours now.
Ah, okay. Right.
But yeah, every mission so far is basically the same. You enter the tomb, you go through 4 or 5 rooms, then you fight, and that's 15 minutes of a mission, and then you go back to the overworld. Next mission.
How deep is the overworld strategic layers? Because
There is none.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I thought there was sort of one.
I mean,
Because in like
the-
the XCOM games, right, that's a huge part of the game where you have to build like radar bases and you have to intercept like
Yeah, no.
ships on the overworld and so on.
The overworld layer goes so far that it has basically a timer. There's a loading bar sort of that
Yeah.
calculates how long or how far along the Necrons are to awakening. When it reaches 100%, I guess bad things happen and the end game begins. And every mission, as I said, every mission has this little timer in itself. Every new room is like 2 slots in the 5-slot clock. And for every advancement of the clock, on one hand, something new happens in the mission. So, for example, hey, the Necrons have been alerted. Hey, Necrons will take less long to get up again.
Right.
And so on and so forth. And at the end of the mission, every level you have in that clock counts towards the percentage bar.
Yeah.
So you
Nice
always
sliding
want to,
difficulty.
yeah, you always want to end the missions as fast as possible,
Yeah.
basically. But that's about it. Most of the strategy layer is really equipping and
Sure.
leveling up your tech priests.
I mean, which that's probably fun, but yeah, in my mind, to those types of games, which where the main loop is certainly the very nitty gritty tactical combat in a turn-based way. To me, at least, in the XCOM games, and I think their like huge success is also due to this. That it wasn't just those tactical games, like those little tactical puzzles, basically, but those little puzzles where you really zoom in on the action, they were given so much context by the larger strategic layer, right? Because it might not, right, you're losing this one squad or whatever, but
Yeah.
that might be worth it, right? Sometimes you may choose to sort of like lose some resources in the tactical game because you're making strategic gains, because on this mission or whatever you're like capturing an enemy commander, and now you can research telepathy and psychic powers and all that stuff. And that only works if that has, if there's meaning that's and consequences carried over from one tactical battle to like the strategic layer and other battles and stuff.
Yeah,
And I don't know, those
And-
games were great.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah.
In the Warhammer Mechanicus games, they do a good job creating lore and a story for each mission.
Yeah.
Like I
I mean, it sounds fun. It's just
regularly think about, hey, this mission could definitely be like a D&D.
Yeah, I was thinking
mission.
that, especially with the rooms you go into and then events and stuff. It sounded a lot like dungeon exploring.
Absolutely. And the different quest givers are fun because there's like one of them is your military commander, and she always has trouble with her troops, and you need to either get them out or
Right.
boost their morale in some way, or something like that. And then there's the curious technician who always has terribly curious ideas. Then there's obviously the very conservative religious creature, as every Warhammer ship needs.
Like an inquisitor or something.
Yes, but tech priest
Right,
inquisitor.
sure. Their version of that.
Yes, and then there's the huntress, which is basically just the person that gives you boss missions. I don't know what her whole deal is, apart from the fact that she hunts. I don't know why the tech priest or the Mechanicus.
Is she actually part of the Adeptus Mechanicus, or is she like a
Yeah.
Sisters of
No,
Battle?
no, they all look very much like tech priests.
Yeah, okay. I don't know.
no.
Maybe a role in the Warhammer universe that I am not familiar with. Rare occurrence, I know, but it happens.
Yeah, and then I think there's one last character which I don't remember. Also the one I have not interacted with yet. And they give a wide array of missions, story-wise, but the actual mission is always the same. Even
Right.
even if I say, hey, we have to protect this robot to do its job, for example, the robot never appears except in the story-based rooms. In the eventual fight, it's just kill all the Necrons.
All right. But I mean, it just sounds like, they had a certain scope in mind and they went for that.
Yeah. No,
Probably.
again, it's totally fine.
Are you
It's
gonna
fun.
Are you gonna play more of it?
Yes.
All right. Well, it's probably pretty good. Who made it? Can we look up the stats?
Bulwark Studios.
What else did they make? I always love looking this up.
Go on here.
I love making connections to other stuff. I know.
Don't show me a stream. They have done Rise of Industry,
Oh, I don't know that at all.
released on to be announced. Okay, it's actually Rise of Industry 2. Ixion
Oh, I know.
Which-
That rings a bell.
is from 2022, December 2022.
Yeah.
Ixion is an unrelenting city-building odyssey across the stars. As administrator of the Tiqqun, Tiqqun,
Sure.
Dolos prototype space station. You are tasked with balancing preservation and exploration as you manage infrastructure, resources, and crew.
Wait, is that a space station city builder game? That's my favorite genre. Like, I don't know.
It's hard to tell from. I'm just looking at the trailer right now, and it's there's a lot going on. It looks like
I know you know this game, Vincent, but is it like Startopia?
that
Secret sort of sleeper hit game, Startopia?
Yeah, but more like a Sim City version of Startopia.
Okay.
Much more actually city focused, less
Sure.
ridiculous entertainment
Biodeck
focused.
forming
Yeah.
and stuff. Startopia was great. What a great relaxing game.
Yeah, they actually made a remake of that.
I know you told me that. Yeah, but oh well.
What else? Uncle Shop's Rocket Shop. Come on down to Uncle Shop's Rocket Shop for
Yeah,
all your
it's
rogue
okay.
light spaceship repair simulation needs.
Oh, well, that sounds kind of. I was gonna say I'm not gonna go to Uncle Bob, but now I might. I don't know.
And then we have City of Gangsters. Start a crime syndicate from nothing and grow it into a well-oiled money machine.
This is cool. They sound like a fun studio. What were
yeah.
they called?
It's also Project High Rise. That's from them. Okay.
Is that a Sim Tower? They're doing all the stuff that I love. Is that a Sim Tower clone?
It's a skyscraper construction and management sim.
Oh my god!
From
It
2016.
finally happened. There's a Sim Tower game. I guess there's many. I just didn't look for it. But I used to love Sim Tower, and it's such a weird niche type of game. It's also really. Do you know what I mean by Sim Tower?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Did you play that ever?
No.
No. Look at me laughing. Like, no, I don't play baby shit like that. Like,
No, I've
it's not a horror game. It's okay.
I had an apple in my
I
youth.
know. But I never know quite what that means, and I don't.
Neither
grasp,
did I.
I don't grasp the implications of that. But so Sim Tower, the hilarious thing about Sim Tower is that it just started as a sort of elevator simulation software. And whoever made it, I guess, realized, or forget, back then it was developed by Maxis, and like, I guess they were all sort of engineer nerds. But whoever made it realized, this figuring out which elevators to place in a high-rise building, and like how to sort of space them out to make traffic flow through the building most efficiently and stuff. That's actually a fun puzzle. Let's like build a game around it. And so they made this sort of economic simulator tower builder.
I can so imagine the conversation. Man, Bill, I tell you, creating sim for elevators is the most amazing.
I know,
John,
right?
are you okay? Do you need to talk to somebody?
Look, there's like service elevators, and then there's like cargo elevators.
I'm going to call somebody, okay?
Look, and you can like watch them go up and down. And it's also like, I guess I just like
Gonna
these
be
sort
okay.
of, I like these weirdly relaxing games. Yeah, it was fun. And I actually like, I love to sort of make little game projects occasionally. And I've tried many times to recreate some version of Sim Tower, even one that's like sort of accessible, right? And I've had varying degrees of success. And I actually thought, okay, how can you make this admittedly boring sounding genre of elevator simulation? Like, how could you make that more exciting? And so I thought the only thing that could make Sim Tower better is to combine it with Shadowrun, like add hackers. But that makes sense, right? Because listen to me.
Yes, I'm listening. Keep going.
I thought you could call it Sim Shadow Tower, and I know it gets worse.
Oh boy.
But the idea is still, I think, sounds good. But wait for it. So you build the tower, and you also equip a team of Shadowrunners to like break into other people's towers and steal their sort of company secrets, because it's a corporatist cyberpunk world, right?
Yeah.
And all these towers, they belong to corporations, and they've got apartments on the top, but then in the basement they've got research facilities and stuff. And so, that kind of made sense in my mind. But then I kind of, I don't know, experimented with it, and it just turned out, no, this is not fun. This is just, maybe we should just put the sim tower genre to rest. It was.
As much as I like to make fun of it, I can totally see it working. I mean, as I said,
Which one now? Just sim tower in general or sim shadow tower?
both, sadly.
Yeah, the thing is, but it's sort of the same with Shadowrun, right? I also, in my mind, or let's say the cyberpunk genre in general, I always get excited about it, but then the actual games don't grip me so much. I know you like the Shadowrun games, and I might too if I play them, but I don't know.
Yeah, they do a good job of capturing the world.
Right.
And what I wanted to say about this elevator simulation, I can totally see that working because in SimCity, not in SimCity, but in City Skyline, I have fun getting hyper focused on the traffic and controlling that just very precisely. And it's just totally insane, but it's fun.
No, it's just a puzzle, right? It's for a certain type of person that is very satisfying to do, and I totally get that. It's just that, I don't know. I've not found a version of the tower thing that works nowadays. It's actually fun. Maybe this is, what was that game called?
Project High-Rise.
Project High-Rise. By one last time the studio.
That's the publisher, Cogito Games, and the developer here is Soma Sim.
Soma Sim.
But who's the?
Who made the Adeptus Mechanicus?
Bulwark Studios.
Right. That sounds very Warhammer-y.
Oh yeah, okay. That just leads to Cogito Games, the publisher, I guess.
All right. Yeah. I don't know now who exactly is behind all these games, but it sounds like they're having a lot of fun and they're making fun games, and more power to them. Very interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
And more good Warhammer games. I'm starving for them. It's so good.
Well, it's this little game called Rogue Trader, Vincent. You may have heard of it.
Yeah, I know, and I'm gonna play it, but not yet. And I'm also waiting for Space Marine 2, and it's gonna be great. I know it, but it's so far away, Marius.
It's a weirdly good time for games, isn't it? It's like, I feel like there's still a lot interesting stuff coming out, even though I've been told that the golden years are over.
Gigantic layoffs, stuff like that.
Yeah, the Unity fiasco and all that stuff. I thought, this is it. We're just gonna have to play Dwarf Fortress forever now.
I feel like we are at a point where all the layoffs have not yet affected the games that are coming out right now.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you might be right. Maybe
we'll see how the year and the next year progresses. Might be all downhill from here.
That's right. Yes. Anyway, on that note. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the A Dungeon About podcast. We record live usually every Thursday at 4 p.m. Central European Time on Twitch, twitch.tv/HeMakesMePlay_live. You can also watch some of our Let's Plays and other videos we create on the He Makes Me Play YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/@HeMakesMePlay. And you can also follow us on Twitter @makes_play. Thanks everyone. See you next time.